alive, sir. I saw it. I shot at it. I hit it. I know it. Nothing happened. It just kept coming at me, making a noise like a cat mewing. Captain, it was awful. If you could have seen those hands and those eyes. Captain, you've got to do something about it. You've got...
Is it human or inhuman? Earthly or unearthly? Baffling questions, astounding questions that not even the world's greatest scientific minds can answer.
Gentlemen, do you realize what we've found? A being from another world, as different from us as one pole from the other. If we can only communicate with it.
See? What happened, Doctor?
In the greenhouse, I was working. I couldn't see.
Yeah.
Then a blast of cold air, and I heard Olson scream.
Come here. Get in the corner. Now hold this in front of you. Stay by the light switch.
1.9. Needles hit the top.
Man-eater can't be.
Rose straight out of the ground, standing 20 feet high, with fangs and claws sharper than any man-made metal.
Let me know when old man-eater shows up, okay? I'll take a snapshot of him with the girls.
Something's not right.
What about you? Where did you come from?
Clobirch Industries. A company that sticks its nose where it shouldn't.
The beta cells are rapidly increasing. They're 600% larger than they were last week.
They're growing these goddamn things.
Well, we're in a lot of danger, and its strength is far superior to that of an average polar bear.
Unhunted.
The real question is this: are comic books good or are they not good?
I was fascinated with pre-code horror. One of the first major collections I bought was the Spokane collection, which had an incredible array of pre-code horror comic books.
Of course, doing the horror stories was a lot of fun. You could imagine how much fun it was to put these stories together, and you could do them any way you wanted.
I had no guidelines at all or restrictions. They would say to me, Ray, we're doing eerie comics. Here are the stories that are going in there. I'd look through them and I'd take things that I thought would illustrate them.
Stan looked at the letter and he says, I said, Mr. Lee, would you like to look at some of my work? He says, no, Jack says you're a good artist. He says, here, I want this back in a week.
Is it cold enough for you yet? Good Lord. Welcome to this special edition of the Horror Mike Show for this Tuesday night, as we like to call it, the Frozen Hell Fright Flicks Festival that we're about to unleash upon the world. Good evening, one and all. This is Horror Mike, your host, with I hope the most for you on this Tuesday evening. How cold is it where you are, folks? That's what I want to hear. Put it in the chat, and let's take a look at here. I'm in North Florida. All right, so I'm in Florida. In other words, it's not Miami, of course. Down there, it's like 70 degrees. I don't know, but it's rapidly, if not right now, it's hit freezing, and it's supposed to hit 20 degrees tonight, which is damn cold for Florida. I can tell you that much right now. But without further ado, let's head on over to the chat and see who the hell is here. Good Lord. Joe is on the scene. Hey, everybody, it is 13 degrees frozen hell, folks, right there here in North Alabama. That's frozen hell, could be the theme of the evening. Michael Taylor is here as well. Hello, Michael Taylor. Good to see you. Mike, I didn't expect the show today. Yes, expect the unexpected with Horror Mike, Michael Taylor. That's kind of what I'm saying right now. This is an impromptu show, folks. I just decided to do it for a couple of reasons, which you will find out very soon. Just hang on, because it's rather exciting. Okay, that's what I'm saying right now. PBR Street Gang is here. PBR, how are you doing, my good man? Now you're kind of North Texas. It's got to be freaking cold up there about this time. Good thing I had the alert on. You got to have that alert on, Michael Taylor. Good Lord. It's 10 degrees in Tulsa. Folks, that's what's going on right there. Good God, that is freaking cold. It will be 2 by the morning. Well, okay, I'll be 18 degrees warmer than you, although 20 degrees is pretty bitter for Florida, I'm telling you. I think we can look to, see a lot of orange trees pretty much freezing overnight. That's going to happen. Joe, it's been pretty cold and snowing by me, but not too bad. Well, yeah, you're in New York, Michael Taylor. Of course, it's always cold. I don't know how much of that big freeze you're getting up there. We're getting kind of, it's kind of moving across the, well, I don't want to say the southeast, but it is definitely hitting all of the southeast, and I guess going up to as far north as at least Virginia or Maryland, something like that. I mean, it's just a line, this like this, It was rather incredible because earlier today, it was raining in the morning around 9-10 o'clock Eastern time here in Florida. It was raining. It was like 55 degrees, right? I'm like, oh, this is great, man. I go out, I go to the store and stuff, running some errands, come back and the rain stops, right? This is like 11 o'clock, 11:30, something like that. And it just started dropping. It's just like, you imagine this, you got the weather coming through the rain, and right behind it is this wall of ice. So the weather, it just started, the temperature just started dropping like by the hour. And now it's approaching, it's got to be pretty much close to at least freezing, 32 degrees right now. So it's been pretty rapid. And I'm in my RV while the house is being remodeled. Balls cold. Holy shit, PBR. Good Lord, man. Well, I hope you have at least some semblance of a heater, an electric space heater or something in that RV. God, holy Toledo, man. That's rough. That is rough. Well, that seems to be what is going on around the region at this point. We're in a deep freeze, folks, and that can only mean one thing: a total fright fest of freezing hell films. That, well, in the first place, we're going to do that. We're going to get to the movies. A couple of things I want to show you, which is it's in the same groove. Matter of fact, it's directly related to the trailer, one of the trailers I just showed you, which was The Thing from Another World. That was the original film produced by Howard Hawks in 1951, based upon John Campbell's novella, Who Goes There, right? So what happened is that these guys found the original manuscript to Who Goes There several years ago. and it was originally called Frozen Hell by John Campbell. This has about 45 pages. It's 45 pages longer. Okay, so there's more character development. There's more MacReady character development and so forth. As you recall, MacReady played by Kurt Russell in the John Carpenter 1982 film, The Thing. And so it's really quite good. I enjoy the book tremendously. It's, I want to say, somewhere in the realm of, it's not that long of a book. I think it's about 150 pages, something like that, in that region, you know. So it expanded who goes there, and it's quite good. Highly recommended. This is from Wildside Press. You can find it on eBay. And yeah, so there you go. Frozen Hell right there for you, folks, on this frozen hell of a night. That's what I'm saying. And then certainly a great comic book for the night, or for this week, I should say, because it's going to be freaking like this for a few days, I guess. It's Graham Nolan's The Chinoo. I don't know if you're, I mean, I would assume some of you are aware of the comic book artist Graham Nolan. He's fantastic. He is credited, of course, for being the co-creator of Bane, the character in Batman. And so this is one of his books he did as an Indiegogo called The Chinoo. He signed it, as you can see on the cover. And it's quite good. It's just basically the Chinoo is a legendary creature that roams the Northeast. And he likes to rip people's hearts out and so forth. So he's nasty. He's a nasty creature, folks. And this is really entertaining. If you get a chance, you can. It was an Indiegogo. I believe you can get it on Compass Comics website. If you look for it, that's Graham Nolan's website. Highly recommended. It is interesting because it's black and white and red, which is something I really dig about it. You can see there. Really quite cool. So when things get gory, they kind of jump out, you know. See if I can find something else too. Yeah, nice layouts. Very nice layouts from Mr. Nolan on this particular comic book. So there you go, folks. The Chinoo by Graham Nolan. Highly recommended. Right there. Check it out. Yeah, this particular Indiegogo campaign, it came with a card too. It's like, it's a Chinoo fact card type of thing for 2020. And then on the back, it's got various stats on the Chinoo and the years that he's shown up and attacked people and so forth. So that's really quite cool. Once again, folks, the Chinoo, Graham Nolan. I found this copy on eBay, just to let you guys know. So you might be able to find a copy on eBay. It's got at least two different covers. This is the B variant, and the A variant I've seen on eBay, so you might have luck with that. But quite cool indeed. Now check this out, folks. As I said in the description, tonight I have a pre-code horror comic book that nobody has ever seen except me. And you say to yourself, how is that possible? Horror Mike, I mean, how could you be the only one that's ever seen this book? Well, I'll tell you why. is because I wrote it. Folks, I just got this in the mail today. I can't even freaking believe it. Check this out. It is Splash of Horror. Rare pre-code horror splash pages. Stanley Morris magazines and Eerie publications. Check out that cover. It turned out brilliantly. I am so pleased with this freaking book. It is 64 pages long. Let me show you a couple of interior things. In the first place, as you can see, I have an introduction, which is just a few pages. But then it goes, it's got various sections. Like, for example, the first section covers full color splash pages like this. And below each one, it has all of the info on that particular splash page. Then, here's the, God, these are just, they turned out so damn good, folks. That's Jack Cole, Death Prowls the Streets. And that is Ross Andrew right here, 10,000 Years Old, for an issue of Weird Tales of the Future. Then we have section 2, which gets into the Stanley Morris magazines. Now, I've shown you a few of these before, okay? And so these are all black and white, taken directly from my collection. I scanned and or photographed these for this. They turned out unbelievably well. Check those out, folks. The Zombie's Eyes. That is Lynn Streeter art. And then Captain Crossbones is Ogden Whitney, another huge artist in the Golden Age. Then we move on. Well, there are quite a few. This turned out beautiful. Well, before we get to the Eerie pubs, check this stuff out. Check out the way that the bat in the brain turned out. That is just freaking awesome. Now, as you can see here, the girl who died twice, they were burning a witch at the stake. What I did is I included this page in black and white. Yeah. And it is also in color as it was originally published, right? So there a few times in this book, you'll see in the front section with all of the color stuff, art that reappears in the back because Stanley Morris reproduced, he actually had the original art. This stuff is directly from the original art, folks. I mean, take a look at the reproductions on that. Now, I did a lot of work on this to get these reproductions as perfect as possible. And I think they turned out damn good. Okay, now the third section, as I mentioned, section 3, the pre-code horror comic book splash pages from Myron Foss, Eerie Publications. These are some classics. The Black Death, about giant ants, man-eating ants on an island, and Monster Mill, for example. And of course, I had to, folks. The last one is Nightmare Island, featuring the giant rat menacing the woman who's trapped on a mousetrap, right? That is from Voodoo, issue number 16. And then I added the feral. Yeah. Let me see if I can get this. There we go. This is an original Ajax Feral ad. As you can see, they've got Voodoo, Haunted Thrills. They've even got stuff that never was published, like Suspooks, Dark Journey, Bewitched, stuff like that. But yeah, so there you go. So it's 64 pages, printed from Kablam. This place kicks royal butt. It is the best print job I have ever seen as far as me being involved directly in something like an art book such as this, such as Splash of Horror. They just knocked it out of the park. It is fan-freaking-tastic. So it's brand new. I just got this afternoon. And so it is not live yet. What I'm going to do, there's two things that are going to happen. It will be available on my website and a comic book vendor website soon. But I'm going to order X amount of copies, and I will have those as signed copies for people that wish to have them signed. And it'll be the same price, basically. I mean, I'm just going to, get X amount of copies and then send them out. So that's it, folks. That is my first comic book child right here. Splash of Horror. There you go. It's just beautiful. I mean, the print job on this is fan-freaking-tastic. They did a great job. Let me get back to the chat. I see I got a few. Okay, we saw that. You're in the RV, right? Oh, yeah, yes. Oh, you just reread that. Excellent. Yeah, Frozen Hell. I love it, man. It's like 2.5 hours long. I'm not quite sure. What do you mean, like audiobook? Or not quite sure what you mean, PBR. PBR, you're in your RV. Hopefully it's warm enough in there. Yeah. Ah, cool cover. Thank you, Michael Taylor. Yeah, it turned out really well. What it is, folks, is that it's a combination of 3 splash pages. The skull on top is from the Cadaver's Revenge by Igershop. And then this guy, and it just turned out beautifully. This is the guy that's hanging is from Hangman's Horror, and that art is by Jack Cole. And then, as I mentioned, Ross Andrew below. And it worked like a freaking charm. It's beauteous. Nice and toasty. Went out today. We only got 2 or 3 inches of snow, just really, really cold. Really nice interior art. Thank you, Michael Taylor. Love The Girl That Died Twice. Yes, and it is in both color and black and white. So it was just great that Stanley Morris reprinted the original. He had the original art, so he simply reprinted it in an issue of Shock magazine, circa 1969, right in there. Jacob Bornowski, how are you doing? Good to see you, my good man. Mike, you're freezing quite a bit on my end. Ooh, uh-oh. Well, freezing, folks, literally and figuratively. Good Lord. Thank you, Michael Taylor. Eric Boyd is here. Hello, Eric. How you doing? Cold ass evening in the wilds of Nebraska. I bet it's cold as a mother down there, man. I want a snow bunny like one of the girls in your thumbnail. Indeed. Save me a copy, please, sir. Yes, I will do that. As a matter of fact, folks, in the next several days, including this coming Friday and Sunday, what I wanted to do is get an idea as to how many copies I want to get directly from the printer. Hey, Kevin, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Because then I can just order, like, let's say I could order 20 of these, and then have them and then sign them so I don't like over order. I'm kind of thinking 20 might be the sweet spot. Something like that, 10 or 20. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I left it so like on the interior right here, perfect place for signing, for example, And this, the Black Knights of Evil, of course, is also in here in color. These things turned out just beautifully, folks. There it is on the interior, the Black Knights of Evil. That is Joe Certa. Then on the opposite page, Only the Dead Live Here. That is Everett Raymond Kinsler. Incredible stuff. It just turned out better than I could have possibly imagined. Check those out. Miser in the Coffin. I did a lot of work on the Miser in the Coffin splash page. It was really messed up. The Devil's Ally, of course, once again, that is the Iger Shop, and I think I credited it. Well, I credited Iger Shop. Comics.org has a question mark, but I know Iger Shop, and that's Iger Shop, folks. But yeah, it's fantastic. 64 pages, folks. And it should be live by Friday. It should be totally live. It should be on the official website and my website by Friday. But of course, if you order it from Indie Planet, which will be the main comic website, you're just going to get the comic book. You won't get it. If you want it signed by yours truly, Horror Mike, you'll have to get it from me, because I will order 10 or 20 from them. Then I will send them out directly to you guys. So I'm just trying to get a little idea as to how many I should order. Keep in mind, they'll be pretty much, it says $8.95. They'll be $8.50, probably $4.50 for shipping and handling. So $13. And keep in mind, this is a 64-page comic book right here. Or should I say art book? It's kind of more accurate because that's what it is. If you guys just came in, I have an introduction that I wrote about the splash pages. Why would I do a book about splash pages? Nobody else has ever done it. There's a good reason why. Because when I was growing up and getting various horror magazines like Creepy, Eerie, all of the Eerie publication stuff, Weird Tales of Voodoo. If I got the issue, I would look through it, and whatever the best splash pages were, those are the ones I would read first. If the splash page was dull, I would tend to skip to the last, right? I would leave it for the last. So splash pages are incredibly important in comic books. To my knowledge, nobody has ever done a comic book, or I should say like an art book, that's devoted to the splash page. And here it is, folks. Splash of Horror. There you go. Volume 1, by the way. This is volume 1. Another volume is coming out. Okay. That's what I'm saying right now. Splash of Horror. I am just digging the hell out of it. Let's see, where are we? Okay, I got down there. Splash of Horror looks amazing. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that, my good man. Mike, I don't mean you have icicles on you. I'm talking about your picture. Yes, I realize that. Yeah, I don't know what to say, man. It also, it could be the weather, because you know the like cable lines for cable or internet, as it starts freezing, you can have intermittent problems. It does happen, you know, and I think it's officially freezing here now. Eric says, pretty cool horror, Mike. Well, thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. Very cool news, Mike. Thank you, Michael Taylor. All right, folks. So I've shown you the couple of things, that comic books that are related to what's going on, the deep freeze of horror, right? Our frozen hell here. But as it so happens, of course, Tubi has some great freaking movies that pretty much go along the same lines. You know, the subject matter of people that are kind of trapped in a situation. They're snowbound, they're frozen somewhere, you know, and some kind of a horror is unleashed. Let's see it. What do you say, PBR? Pretty sure I mentioned it before, but last year I got the complete history of EC Comics the size of a coffee table. Yes, I remember that you were talking about. That's crazy, PBR. That is just totally insane, man. Yeah, oh, I would imagine. Yeah, as a matter of fact, PBR, I know that EC Comics put out a book that's like an artisan book, you know, the artist editions that you see like of Rocketeer and stuff like that. They have, EC Comics has got one. I've seen it on eBay. I don't know if you've ever seen that one before, but it's, you know, in that vein where it's like they just literally scanned the original art with all the, you can see like blue lines and stuff, and corrections on the borders and things like that. Which is totally cool, man. You know, I really dig that. I don't have your website saved, Horror Mike. Can you post it in the chat for everyone? Yes. It is. Shit. I have to move this. There we go. Okay. It's horroranthologymovies.com, folks. I think I just spelled it correctly. Maybe I didn't. HorrorAnthologyMovies.com. That's it. That is correcto. All right. So in any case, the movies first. The first thing we want to do is go to Tubi. Oh, I kind of, there we go. There we go. Yeah, because I found that in particular, I found a few that kind of relate to our shared situation here with the whole frozen hell thing. Okay, here we go. So these are ones I found, folks, and they're all. As a matter of fact, all of these are totally worth watching. Some more than others, and of course, at the top of the heap, it's got to be The Thing from Another World. But 30 Days of Night is fantastic, and we'll get to that. But we start off with Unnatural. Now, that is a 2015 film. It is, of course, it's on Tubi. And Eric Boyd, for your, potential pleasure, it does feature bikini-clad models in the snow. They're modeling in the snow, Eric. That's what I'm trying to say right now. So you might find that rather titillating. Let's put it that way. But I happen to have, folks, the trailer to Unnatural, which I would like to show to you now. They always have to have the person dragged across the floor at the end. But in any case, that is a film, Unnatural. It is totally worth watching at least once. It's entertaining. I found it very entertaining. James Remar is an excellent actor. So there you go. He heads up the cast in Unnatural. And I enjoyed it thoroughly. So check it out. Man, it's perfect for this weather. Oh, yes. And we're all frozen in, folks. That's what I'm saying right now. Okay. Next up is a film called The Thaw, which is very interesting. Once again, as far as I'm concerned, it's very entertaining. It's unusual. It stars Val Kilmer. It's from 2009. In the Arctic, a global warming researcher and his 4 students discover that a melting polar ice cap has released a deadly prehistoric parasite. Yes, that's right, folks. It's a warning to us all. Global warming. No. Look, that's the one thing about this movie that makes it totally worth watching is the fact that it doesn't beat you over the head with the global warming thing. Yes, it is part of the film, okay? But I didn't find it preachy. So let's put it that way. Val Kilmer is really good in it. The acting, I think, is generally very good. It's weird. These parasites that are released as a result of something unthawing. I'm basically going to leave it at that. Something is kind of thawed out and these parasites come back to life. Highly recommended. I liked it. I may watch it again, actually. The Thaw from 2009. Let's see what they have down here. Not much. Sabertooth, I don't know. But that brings us to 30 Days of Night. Folks, if you haven't seen 30 Days of Night, now this was based upon a graphic novel or a series of comic books, one of the two. You guys may know better than I do. I know it was a graphic novel and or comic book before the film, and so they adapted it to this. They made two films, right? The second one is pretty mediocre in comparison. 30 Days of Night from 2007 is one of the best vampire films I've ever seen. There's just absolutely no doubt about it. The great thing about 30 Days of Night is that there's no bullshit in this film. They don't waste time. Everything they pretty much from the opening sequences, things are happening. Everything is put into motion, and it's a build-up type of scenario. And it's perfectly done. It is so well done. Highly recommended. The vampires are unusual and really cool. They're definitely, they fit that trope of the ancient vampire, from the old country. That's exactly what these things are. And it just works very well. All the special effects are fantastic. The setting in Alaska, is brilliant. I just totally dug the hell out of it. 30 Days of Night, really liked it a lot. Josh Hartnett, Melissa George, Danny Houston lead up the cast. And I've seen it several times now. It's one of those films, man. Look, I think one of the things is that, as well, for filmmakers, it's a filmmaker's film. Because when you watch it, you start seeing, especially after you've watched it 2 or 3 or 4 times, you start seeing things that the director and the other people, the crew were doing in order to achieve this effect, right? And also what the screenwriters did as far as the characterization and moving the plot along. All of these elements. And I could imagine, man, they're shooting in a blizzard. I mean, this is supposed to be like blizzard effects that are happening where they're at in Alaska. I think it's Barrow, Alaska, or near Barrow, Alaska, where you get 30 Days of Night at one point during the year. And that's when the vampires descend. So the shooting, just being able to shoot and pull off that effect of hardcore blizzard style weather going on, and these humans are trying to survive the 30 days. That's really the name of the game. Can they survive the 30 days before the sun comes back against these freaking vampires, of which there is almost no defense, Fantastic. Highly recommended. 30 Days a Night. And it brings me to a movie that I've probably seen at least a dozen times. It's The Thing from Another World, produced by Howard Hawks, and one of the greatest science fiction films of the 1950s. And that's a big feat right there, folks, because the 1950s was just science fiction central. And I'm talking about good science fiction. I'm not talking about the giant insect stuff, although a few of those were really great, such as Them, about the giant ants, a fantastic science fiction film. But I'm more so talking about films like The Thing from Another World, Forbidden Planet, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Fiends Without a Face. Absolutely. I mean, this is like good science fiction adapted to film. And The Thing from Another World is just fantastic. Very little bullshit in this one. Okay, now Christian Nyby directed it. As I said, Howard Hawks produced this. They don't spend a lot of time, dilly-dallying around with the characters. There's a couple of exchanges, a few short scenes, for instance, between Kenneth Tobey, the star of the film, and Margaret Sheridan, the co-star, because they have a relationship, right? They had a relationship. It looks like the relationship is back on track, and there's a little bit of that, but they know how much to put in and how much to leave on the cutting room floor. That is why The Thing from Another World is so great. You don't get bogged down in needless characterization or subplots. It's and that's exactly what happens really with 30 Days of Night. They don't bog it down. There's no needless waste going on with crappy subplots, of characters you could give a shit about. They just get right to it. The build on both of these films is fantastic. And yeah, there you go. And I think that John Carpenter knew that. And when he made his version of The Thing in 1982, he realized it was like, hey, look, I'm not going to screw around. I have these, whatever it was, 8 male characters that are trapped in the Antarctic research station. And I'm not messing around. I'm just getting right to the brass tacks and building the plot. The tension builds. It opens up. They're chasing the dog, shooting at the dog. It doesn't stop from there. There's just no BS. That's why it works so well. And I think that's why The Thing from Another World also works in that same vein. It's the thing about The Thing from Another World is that, of course, at the time, they simply did not have the special effects to try to do Who Goes There, John Campbell's novella about this creature that could change form and assimilate humans and assume their forms. There was just no special effect. You just couldn't freaking do it, So I understand why they changed it, why they made James Arness this creature. It works really well. I think they did a great job. The special effects in this film are really excellent. And they knew the limitations. That was the thing. And I think they triumphed. The Thing from Another World. It's still on Tubi, folks. Highly recommended. Check it out if you have not seen it. See it to believe it. I'm telling you. Now I'm going to scoot down real quickly here. Where are we? Oh, yeah, here we go. Now I've added some more. Tubi has added a ton of freaking exploitation films, folks, primarily from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Although there are a couple of modern ones I had to add. Okay. But before I do that, I'm going to get back to the chat. Let's see here. What do we got? Eric says, why, thank you, Horror Mike. Sounds like a must-see for me now. Yeah, that is the one. Unnatural. Yes, indeed. Bikini-clad models in the snow. That's what I'm talking about. And it's good. It's a good film as well, but it's got that TNA factor. Although I wouldn't call it an exploitation film, but there is that little factor in there. Eric says the polar bear is literally one of the wild animals that considers humans as prey. Not a joke. Cheryl and Finn, damn, doodly doo, doodly doo, doodly doo. Yes. Jacob says, reminds me of that movie, The Edge, with Anthony Hopkins. There's another one. Not quite a horror film, but it's close, and it's a good flick. Kevin says, I love the practical effects. Yes. Unnatural is loaded with practical effects. Thank God. Okay. That's one of the things that one of it say, and that's a comparison, like, for instance, versus Thaw, that other film that I mentioned. There's more CGI in Thaw. Unnatural has definitely got more practical effects, which is great. Eric says, he is definitely a great actor, James Remar. Yeah. You know, he's really good in it. It's a solid film. It's very entertaining. Kevin says, it's Audrey Horne from Twin Peaks, Eric boy. 30 Days of Night is really good. Second one, not so much. Yeah, that's the whole thing. It always happens that way too. I just don't know what the deal is with, I understand they have 30 Days of Night. It makes a ton of money. They're like, look, we need to do a sequel. So they're like, hey, let's use this subpar script and a not very interesting story. Hey, that should work. What? I mean, look, the one thing, especially if you're going up against the original film, a film like 30 Days of Night, you'd better damn well have a great script to start the thing off, because if you don't, pack it in. I don't care what acting, what special effects and so forth, art direction you got. If you don't got the screenplay that's on a par with the original, you're going to end up with the sequel like the sequel to 30 Days of Night. That's the problemo. Yes. Oh, yeah, Boxing Helena. I remember that one. That was a weird one. 30 Days of Night, highly recommended, based on a comic. Art by Ben Templesmith was really unique. There we go, folks. Yeah, 30 Days of Night is very good. Vampires Paradise. Yeah, stays dark for 30 days. Yeah, that's exactly it. So, obviously, many of you have seen it, and that's great. I'm glad. It is still on Tubi for those who haven't. Highly recommended. Once again, 30 Days of Night. It's beautiful for this weather. It is lovely. And The Thing from Another World, folks. The Thing from Another World is just perfect for this weather. Watch it tonight. Watch it tomorrow night. Both of them. It's just, fantastic. All right, folks. I've got some new Tubi stuff here. I got to show you this stuff. Look, Tubi has added literally dozens of exploitation horror films from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and a few newer ones. I can't even believe it. I cannot freaking believe this. Talk about obscure exploitation flicks. Wait until you see some of these. Okay. First off, Monster Grizzly is from 2023. And I'm going to start a new section, folks, about Tubi. And I'm going to call it Tubi Tardation. And one film every week will make the Tubi Tardation list. And this is the one that makes the Tubi Tardation this week. It is Monster Grizzly from 2023. Okay, just wait until let me read. I'm going to read this slowly for you, because you got to enjoy every gut-wrenching, cringeworthy word, okay? Agitated by the constant fracking in its territory, a ravenous grizzly bear emerges from a blinding blizzard to attack the residents of a small town. Yes, you you heard that right. It's a giant grizzly bear who's agitated by the constant fracking. What? The only thing they could do better for this film is have the bear talk. And like before, he just mauls people to death and rips their arms and legs off and shit. He should be like, you know, I'm really agitated about this constant fracking in my territory. And for that reason, I'm going to rip your head off right now. Stuff like that. I mean, come on. It couldn't get any worse. What? So this Monster Grizzly, I'm not going to watch it. You can watch it if you want. It's on Tubi. It gets the Tubi Tardation Award for this week. Simply because of that description, folks. Had to bring it in there. Next up, it's Beyond the Door 3, People Nothing. Okay, this is 1989. And I don't know if anybody's ever seen the other Beyond the Door movies. I mean, I've seen Beyond the Door, the original, which was basically a ripoff, a cash-in on The Exorcist, if people aren't aware. And it's interesting. It's all right. There's some good things about it, but it's pretty much a cheap cash-in on The Exorcist from the 70s. So it made a lot of money. And they decided to make Beyond the Door 2. And then in the late 80s, they decided to make Beyond the Door 3. Oh, yes, folks. And guess who's in it? Yeah, you've guessed it correctly. Bo Svensson. Ha! Bo Svensson is in this film. Beyond the Door 3, 1989. A class trip to Yugoslavia to witness an ancient pagan ritual puts a shy American Balkan student at the top of the Devil's Bride-to-be list. There you go. I have not seen the film. It's on my list. I'll probably give it a watch. Okay. It sounds kind of interesting. You know, when you don't hear much about American Balkan students in movies. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of, also, you never hear about many class trips where the purpose of said class trip is to witness an ancient pagan ritual. I never got that back in high school. You know, we went to, I don't know, for nature walks or something. I never got to that ancient pagan ritual stuff. Okay, that's what I'm saying right now. But that's Beyond the Door 3, folks. The next one you got to see. Highly recommended, from 2016. Doomed, the untold story of Roger Corman's Fantastic Four. Now, 1994, Roger Corman made he produced it. A $1 million budget, official Marvel film adaptation of the Fantastic Four. Okay, and it was never released. And this documentary covers the entire saga, the scandal of this film. Now, the movie itself, Corman's Fantastic Four film from 1994, is not on Tubi, but it is on YouTube. The full film. You can watch the film on YouTube, okay? And then watch this documentary. You will be stunned. You will be absolutely stunned. The documentary is so good. Okay. Look, there's a couple of things that I think deserve to be said about the original Corman produced Fantastic Four. For $1 million budget, it was actually pretty good. When you consider this, the last couple of attempts at the Fantastic Four, which, by the way, are worse than Roger Corman's Fantastic Four, those attempts were $100 million budget films. Okay? What Corman did with $1 million, if they had a $2 million budget, it would have actually been a great film. But alas, they only had $1 million, right? And it's a freaking Fantastic Four movie. But it blows the doors off of those dumbass remakes. Oh my God, those things are so cringeworthy, I can't even believe it. Yeah, so in any case, you can watch the movie on YouTube and then watch this fantastic documentary on Tubi. Now, here we go. 1973, Hunchback of the Morgue. Anybody? Hunchback of the Morgue, dubbed, okay. Unable to cope with the death of his love, a hunchback recruits a mad scientist to reanimate her after her body arrives at the morgue where he works. Now, this is a Paul Naschy film. I have not seen it, but 1973, folks. There you go. I don't know. I do not know. I can't vouch for the validity of that film. However, I do like the sound of The Vampire's Night Orgy. In 1973, again, my good fiends. A busload of itinerant workers looking for employment opportunities in a small village are welcomed with open arms by its cannibal and vampire locals. Yes, there you go. You know, you can't pass up an itinerant worker buffet. And that's what's going on here with the Vampire's Night Orgy, folks. Hollywood Horror House, 1970. What the hell is that? I've never even heard of it. These are films now on Tubi, folks. They have literally just added these movies this year in the last week on Tubi. Hollywood Horror House, never heard of it, unless it was under another name. An aging star who lives An aging star who lives a quiet, reclusive life in her Hollywood mansion with a retinue of servants unknowingly hires a psychopath as her new nurse. There you go, folks. Hollywood Horror House. I'm gonna give it a watch. There ain't no doubt about that. I don't know anything about it, but it looks kind of groovy. It does look rather groovy. This one I've seen. I actually had the soundtrack on vinyl by Donald Rubinstein, great composer back in the day. Martin, of course, George Romero film. Martin, a young man who believes himself to be a vampire, moves to a small Pennsylvania town where he begins to wreak havoc among the community. John Amplas stars as Martin. Also, Tom Savini is in this film and, of course, did the effects. Directed by George Romero. Recommended, definitely. I love the soundtrack, the Donald Rubinstein soundtrack. It's weird. It's kind of like a psychotic jazz soundtrack. A lot of piano, discordant piano stuff. Very cool. Very cool. Now, this is a newer film. We're jumping to 2011, but I had to put this in there, folks, because, okay, frankly, because of the name. All right. Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead, 2011, is a horror comedy from Japan. A camping trip in the woods for a group of teen friends becomes a great. Oh my God. Okay. Becomes a gastrointestinal standoff with a herd of fecally challenged. What? Okay, I'm going to read this over. I'm sorry. It just took me by surprise. All right. A camping trip in the woods for a group of teen friends becomes a gastrointestinal standoff with a herd of fecally charged zombies and a mad doctor. At least I got that out in one fell swoop. Good. Zombie ass toilet of the dead. I mean, what the hell? I have partially seen this film, folks. That's all I'm going to say. It's on Tubi. Zombie ass toilet of the dead if you're so inclined, okay? Here we go. We're back to the 70s now with Daughter of Dracula, and she looks really good. Now she looks very sweet on that on the box art right there. Our Daughter of Dracula from 1972. Let's take a closer look. Red Rocket Media once again. Jesus Franco directed. Okay, that gives us a little more info. While visiting her dying mother, a young woman learns that she comes from a family of vampires and goes in search of her ancestor's coffin. Okay, fair enough. She's pretty hot. I must say, kind of compelling me to want to watch this film, Daughter of Dracula. This one I put it up here to warn you, okay? I'm warning you now, Night of the Demons. This is the remake, the 2009 remake. It is not the very entertaining 1980s original film, Night of the Demons. This film sucks, okay? Avoid at all costs. I don't know what else to tell you. It sucks. That's it. It just doesn't go anywhere. There's a couple of demons that look really good. That's about it. Then we have, fortunately, Horrors of the Black Museum, 1959, starring Michael Gough. Folks, there we go. A deranged crime writer tries to create real-life stories for his book, so he hypnotizes his personal assistant to commit grisly murders. Michael Gough, great one, Horrors of the Black Museum, 1959. Highly recommended. It's been years since I've seen it. I plan on rewatching it very soon. Now, Monster Piedras Blancas I watch every year, folks. Are you kidding me? It's Monster Piedras Blancas, for Christ's sake. How good is Monster Piedras Blancas? Monster Piedras Blancas is so damn good that it inspired God, why am I drawing a blank now? There's a punk rock group, the Angry Samoans. The Angry Samoans from the late 1970s. Their inaugural album was the album cover was from Monster of Piedras Blancas, where the monster is holding up the severed head of this victim. He just ripped the head off this guy. And that was the Angry Samoans, who were obviously big fans of the Monster of Piedras Blancas, as am I. Okay. The great thing about this film, there's a couple of great things. In the first place, the acting is very good. The luscious Jean Carmen is in this film. Oh, yes. She is quite the cutie. Les Tremayne, Forrest Lewis, also in this film, folks. Okay, let me give you the description first. When a series of gruesome murders plagues a seaside town, the lighthouse keeper suspects that a monster living in a nearby cave is to blame. Okay, here's the thing. The guy that produced this film, Jack Cavan, also did the special makeup effects for it. Jack Cavan was the second. He and Millicent Patrick were the two masterminds behind the creature from the Black Lagoon. The design of the creature, the creature suit, that was Jack Cavan. Okay. He never got the cred because, of course, Bud Westmore, being the dipwad that he was, took all the credit. Millicent Patrick and Jack Cavan never got the credit they deserved. So years later, to be specific, 5 years later after the Creature from the Black Lagoon came out, Jack Cavan made his own creature movie called The Monster of Piedras Blancas. And the funny thing about it is that Cavan also designed and created the suits for the Mole Men, the Universal Films movie, The Mole Men, which is fantastic, by the way, highly recommended, and This Island Earth. So in this film, as a kind of like middle finger to Universal, he used let me see if I can, well, you can't really see the feet, but the claws are the Mole Men claws, okay, reused in this film, The Monster of Piedras Blancas, and the feet were the feet that were used in This Island Earth. So there you go, folks. That was Jack Cavan's revenge on Universal and Bud Westmore. And this is a great film. I love The Monster of Piedras Blancas. It is really low budget, but really well done. This creature is just freaking great. I mean, he's just ripping the heads off of people. You know, he's quite brutal. It's for the time, a pretty shocking film. Pretty damn shocking. So that is highly recommended. The hits just keep on coming, folks. The hits just keep on coming. Okay. Let me get back to the chat because I know a few people have probably chimed in. Holy shit. Okay, I know it was somewhere in here. Yeah, here we go. Eric Boyd says, director John Carpenter turned 76 years old today. Happy birthday, John Carpenter. FST George is here. Hello, FST. Tubi is my new obsession, and I owe it to you, Horror Mike, for recommending it. So much great content. Man, I'm glad I could be of service, FST George, and it's great to see you on the show. In the chat, fantastic. Thank you, sir. Michael Taylor says, the scene in Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein where Talbot is digging Frankenstein out of the snow and ice, perfect for this weather. I concur, Michael Taylor. Eric says, VHS tapes of Roger Corman's take on Fantastic Four made the rounds in comic book conventions for years. Yes. Michael Taylor says, I need to watch that Doom doc. Looks interesting. It's fascinating. Look, if you want to get behind the scenes on what really happened and what happens very often on films that get shelved, as look, some films are just basically scams. They're made to never be released. They're made to be tax losses. You know, that's the whole thing. It's incredible, but you gotta see the freaking Fantastic Four documentary. Highly recommended. Oh yeah, a lot of VHS vendors had the 1994 Fantastic Four film. It was all over the place. I'm sure you guys, many of you guys watching now, probably saw it if you went to a convention. You're like, Fantastic Four, 1994. You know, some may have even bought it, you know. That's just one of those great memories from back in the day. Michael Chiklis as the Thing. Well, he had the right attitude and voice, but what the fuck, he was too short, yeah. Look, I like the guy in the original better. As a matter of fact, the suit was way better. Way better than CGI. I liked that original Roger Corman produced film, The Thing, because he was in a suit with a really well done head that, you know, his mouth could move and stuff when he talked and so forth. He looked really good. Now, he wasn't that high. He was like 6'2" in the movie, maybe 6'4". So he wasn't supposed to be like gigantic. But he still looked really good. That's one of the things I liked about it. I couldn't buy Jessica Alba as Sue Storm. She's cute, yes, but not Invisible Woman. The woman that played Sue Storm in the Corman 1994 Fantastic Four is so much better. When she came on the scene, she walks down the stairs, and of course, Reed Richards is getting a hard on down there as he sees her for the first time in a few years or whatever, you know. I'm like, that is Sue Richards. She just nailed it. She really did look like Sue Richards. Great casting on that, you know. There's your other favorite vampire film, Martin. It's a good one. Definitely a good flick. Eric, I don't want to see Alba invisible. Okay. It has been great seeing everyone. The last really cold here, and I am tired. Everyone have a great evening. Got to go. All right, man. Eric, take care. We'll see you soon. Steve Harrison is in the house. When I saw Horrors of the Black Museum in the theater, it starts with the William Castle style intro offering hypnovision, a gimmick. There we go. It's always the classic gimmicks of the 50s and 60s, man. Monster of Piedras Blancas gave me nightmares as a child. Love it. Yes. That was one of those films that really affected me as a kid, too. And look, you know, I love it. When I was a kid, it was Creature from the Black Lagoon, one of my favorite films when I was a kid, and Monster of Piedras Blancas. They just both of the creatures, the way that they did them in those two movies, even though Creature from the Black Lagoon had a much bigger budget, Monster Piedras Blancas, Jack Cavan already had the skills. He was already, you know, years into practical effects and making creatures. So by the time Monster Piedras Blancas rolled around, he was a master. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he did it. And subsequently, that film is fantastic. And I just remember going into like Tower Records circa 1979, 1980, somewhere in there, and seeing that Angry Samoans album cover. You know which one I'm talking about, Kevin, where he's like, as a matter of fact, I'm going to find it. I'm going to get it. You guys have to see this because this is a piece of history right here. Yeah, here we go. That's not too big, though. The fuck? Okay, these aren't very big. What the fuck is going on here? Pardon my French, but it's starting to piss me off. Okay, none of these are very big at all. Fuck. Oh, a nice hefty freaking okay. Let's see here. See if I can. Oh God, you gotta be shitting me. Well, that's better. All right, I'm going to drop this in. This is just one of the classic punk rock album covers of all time. That's why I'm dropping it in here, folks. There it is. The Angry Samoans back from Samoa. That's what I'm talking about. I'm going to bring it up. And that is a classic still from the Monster of Piedras Blancas, where he's just ripped this guy's head off. And he's holding, it's almost like that, you know, Hamlet, alas, poor Yorick type of scene. And it's just brutal. And it's the Angry Samoans. I never forgot that. I never forgot that. And of course, I was a total horror film nut at the time. And I was like, man, the Angry Samoans are fucking cool. They used the monster from Piedras Blancas on their cover. There you go. So I just thought I'd throw that out there for you guys. A little bit of history. Punk rock history for you cats. Oh, there's a few more. Let me get back to the chat for a second. Was Monster Piedras Blancas body used for it? No, it was not used for It, the Terror from Beyond Space. But there were similar kind of creatures. They kind of kept the It creature in the shadows a bit because the suit was definitely not as good. As a matter of fact, it didn't actually fit Ray Crash Corrigan's head too well. So there were issues with him trying to fit it on his face. And I recall that, although I love It, the Terror from Beyond Space. Don't get me wrong, Steve Harrison. It, the Terror from Beyond Space, of course, they sued Ridley Scott and Dan O'Bannon and all those cats for Alien. They lost, but they did sue them. And I like that film. I like it a lot. A lot of people don't realize that Jerome Bixby wrote that. Jerome Bixby was a great science fiction writer of the 50s, 60s, maybe even the 70s. There is a fantastic film. I think it's still on Tubi. It's called The Man from Earth. If you guys get a chance, check it out. It's a science fiction film with no special effects. Takes place in one room with a cast of 6 characters. And it is completely compelling. So good. It is so freaking good. Tony Todd, who, of course, became famous by portraying the Candyman in the original film, is in that film. And he's great. Tony Todd is an excellent actor. I mean, that guy's, he's really good. He got famous doing Candyman, and he kind of got typecast and all that stuff, but he's quite a great actor. Michael Taylor says Les Tremayne played the Billy Batson's mentor in that early 70s Shazam live action show. Lundgren, Punisher, Captain America, and Fantastic Four were the 3 Marvel rush jobs from the 80s. And, well, Fantastic Four got into the early 90s, but still, you're right. The guys who did Mutant Turtles did a great thing in this F4. Yeah, I thought that the thing in that 1990s Fantastic Four is really good. It was solid. Can you imagine if they, instead of $1 million, they had $2 million to make a movie? Imagine another $1 million that went to the special effects in that Corman movie. It would have been unbelievably good, because what they did with $1 million was really impressive, considering the crap they did with the subsequent remakes attempts at the Fantastic Four with $100 million, and they produced that crap. Holy shit, man. Michael Taylor says, very cool album cover. Yes. Angry Samoans, one of the great punk album covers. I agree, Kevin. I totally put that in my top 10. Right up there with Dawn of the Dickies Remember that, Kevin? That was one cover I got. I was a big Dawn of the Dead fan. Now, Dawn of the Dead comes out in 1979, folks. And then, God, months later, and I think it was 1980. I want to say Dawn of the Dickies came out in 1980. And once again, you know, I went to the Tower Records. I swear to you, I guess it had to have been 1979, right? I go to Tower Records. I don't know the Dickies have a new album. I look at the album. It's Dawn of the Dickies, and all the Dickies, the members of the group, are battling zombies, right? And they're and Leonard has a broom, and it's either Leonard or Stan Lee, and he's got a broom, and he's trying to like fight off this zombie. I'm looking at this cover, and I'm like, Dawn of the Dickies. These guys love, like, you know, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, George Romero films and shit. And it's a punk rock group called the Dickies. And I bought the album, needless to say, immediately. I just picked it up, played it, loved it, fell in love with the Dickies. I ended up seeing the Dickies, God, probably 24 times during the early 1980s, playing at dive clubs in Southern California. I'm sure Kevin saw them at least a few times. These guys were all over the place, man. They were playing Los Angeles and Orange County, all over the place. Just an amazing time. And that's one of my other favorite punk rock covers of all time. But the Angry Samoans, it's brilliant. It's freaking brilliant. I love it. Right up there with the Misfit Skull. That's another one. Even though Misfits kind of gets later in the day, it's true though, Steve. I mean, like the Misfits classic, you know, what was he? The Red Skull? I forget. In any case, that classic cover was quite good. You know, I guess you could put it in there. It was a great one. I'm now album covers are starting to flood back, right? You know, I mean, I was one of those late 70s into the 80s punk rockers. I mean, I also liked alternative rock and stuff, and you know, Frank Zappa and all that stuff. I loved it. And weird stuff. I loved weird stuff that was like science fiction or horror in nature, naturally. And Zappa was all about that. But the punk rockers, the punk bands were doing that. They were the dudes that brought back. You guys ever see the Mummies? Holy shit. If you ever get a chance, go to YouTube, look up the Mummies, just the Mummies punk rock. These guys dressed up like mummies and they played gigs. It was glorious. And then the Cramps, the Cramps, another one that was like shockabilly, rockabilly stuff, really great rock and roll, but with a horror theme, right? And of course, they famously did some of the soundtrack for Return of the Living Dead. Of course, you know, absolutely fantastic. We may have to do it. We may have to do a deep dive, folks, one night into like not just punk rock, but like rock and roll groups. Because now that I'm thinking about it, obviously in the 1960s, you had groups with a kind of a horror theme, like Black Sabbath and H.P. Lovecraft. They were another group. There were a lot of them. And then, of course, punk came along, and God, in the 80s with new wave and alternative music, Devo, a lot of science fiction themes going on there. Maybe that would be good for one night, like to do like one of those types of shows. That'd be interesting. In any case, I digress. Sorry. Corrigan's chin was painted red and stuck out of the mouth. Yes, that was what happened. Hilarious. Michael Taylor, I love the torch surfer chase scene in the FF Rise of the Silver Surfer movie. I love Incredible Shrinking Dickies. Poodle Party is my favorite song. Yes, Dawn of the Dickies had their version of Eve of Destruction. They do a great version of the Banana Splits theme. So great, Steve Harrison. The Banana Splits theme. That it was in Kick-Ass. Did you ever see the movie? Based upon the Mark Millar graphic novels, Kick-Ass and Hit Girl. One of my favorite scenes of all time in any superhero film, and I do consider that superhero movie, and one of the best, by the way, the original Kick-Ass with Nicolas Cage. God, so good. When Hit Girl attacks that group of drug dealers inside their den, the drug dealing den, and just wipes them all out. And she's like 8 years old. And they play the Dickies Banana Splits theme as she's just slaughtering these people. It's glorious. I mean, Mark Miller must have been like just weeping tears of joy when he saw that. It's one of my favorite scenes in any superhero film. And I love that film a lot. The first one. Kevin says, Dawn of the Dickies is a great album. Yes, you and I saw them at Ichabods. You are correct. Ichabods, man. Holy shit. You had Ichabods, of course, Safari Sam's. They played there. Night Moves. I probably saw them a dozen times at Night Moves, Kevin. That little sleazy disco. It was a disco. And then they would let punk rock groups, the dudes were cool, obviously, because they would let punk rock groups play there some nights, right? But it was typically like just a fucking disco with bad disco music. And they had the disco ball, remember, in the center? Holy shit. I mean, oh, good times, Kevin, good times. I swear to God. Man. Steve Harrison, Misfit skull was iconic in the papers. Yeah, horror movies, they use that skull image all the time for the discount theaters, horror triple bill. Yeah, it was from the original Crimson Ghost. That was it. I was trying to think of the name. The Crimson Ghost cereal from the 1940s. And it's iconic, right? And the Misfits were people that loved sci-fi and horror too. I gravitated towards those rock groups, those punk groups, whatever. If they had weird ideas about science fiction and horror stuff, and they used themes in their songs, I loved that. That was the stuff that I went for more than anything else. You know, I mean, look, I like the straightforward rock and roll, but there was something about those groups that they were also movie freaks, and they obviously read a lot. They knew about science fiction and horror. They were just like, freaks like me. So I loved it, man. Loved it. It was great. Nash the Slash. Yeah, he was another guy that was just weird ass and really entertaining. New wave artist, looked like the Invisible Man. Yep, you got it. I had one of his albums, Steve. I don't remember what, but I had one. Bobby Boris Pickett. Yeah. Actually, you could start with Spike Jones, Steve Harrison. Spike Jones started doing the weird shit back in the 30s and 40s, That's really where all of these people, I think, owe a debt of gratitude to Spike Jones and all of the weird shit that guy did. if people watching now don't know who Spike Jonze was, look up Spike Jonze on YouTube. You will find his songs. They're totally warped, so weird, but they're good. I mean, it's good. How I guess you might classify it as swing. There's swing music sounds to it, big band, but it's totally insane. It's great stuff. Michael Taylor, speaking of records, I have some rare 45s and LPs. I say kicked ass, yes. Remember 45 Grave? Yeah, well, we hung out with them. Well, you knew them more intimately than I did, Kevin. But I went, of course, when I was up there visiting you and we shot that Super 8 film that you guys hated for that group. I forget who the hell they were. I remember there was the guy Mo, and he was a nice guy. He was a nice guy from that group. I shot this Super 8 movie, folks, for a punk rock group, and Kevin knew the guys, and they were friends with 45 Grave. 45 Grave, for people that don't know, they had the song "Do You Want to Party?" It's party time from Return of the Living Dead. When the corpse pops up out of the grave, it's like, "Do you want to party? It's party time." That's 45 Grave, folks. And so Kevin knew them. They lived in Bakersfield, a place that looked like a fucking nuclear bomb hit it. I swear to God, Bakersfield. God. Well, in any case, so they were quite good. They're also in the I don't know if anybody here watching has ever seen New Wave Theater. It was a show called New Wave Theater. You can see it on, I'm sure they've got it on YouTube. They may even have some of it on Tubi. New Wave Theater. Peter Ivers was the host. And they had all kinds of groups, from hardcore punk rock like Fear to like rockabilly stuff like the Blasters to 45 Grave, you name it. It was like a really wide variety. The Plugs were in there. Just a ton of great groups, you know. Some really great obscure groups too as well. It was all out of Los Angeles, and then somebody broke into Peter Ivers' house and they bludgeoned him to death. It was really weird shit. In any case, it was a great show. 45 Grave was on it. I guess I don't have the VHS anymore. Unfortunately, I used to have the VHS copies of, you know, the original VHS of those New Wave Theaters with 45 Grave. Blood Rock was a morbid band with their hit DOA about a plane crash 1970. Yeah, you know, that I think it's going to have to be an episode, folks. We're going to have to do like a rock or whatever you want to call it, punk rock, rock and roll, shockabilly, and how it relates to movies. There's so much tie-in connection directly to films. You guys know it. We've just been talking about it. It's all over the place. Rob Zombie liked that big robot from the old serials. Yep, always reminded me of Karloff. Yes. I know what you're talking about. It's just on the tip of my tongue. I just can't remember that damn cereal. With that really great robot head. And Rob Zombie's another guy that deserves credit. I love a lot of Rob Zombie stuff. I love White Zombie. And I loved a lot of the later Rob Zombie stuff that he did. Really great music, you know, like, look, it's coming from another geek. It's another sci-fi horror geek like Rob Zombie. Anybody like that, I gotta love them, you know. There's no doubt about it. Burning Image was the name of the group. Burning Image was the name of the group, folks, that I think it was John Woods and I. We went up there and we shot a Super 8 music video on Super 8 film of Burning Image, this group. And that's when I met members of 45 Grave up there, including Dinah Cancer. It's just like, it was hardcore, folks. Oh my God. Oh my God. Dinah. Oh, Dinah Cancer. Holy shit. Talking about fear, what was the lead singer's name? Leaving, folks. Yeah, Streets of Fire. Shit, he was the butler in Clue. You ever see that film with Tim Curry? And he's great. Lee Ving was an actor. He was not a punk rocker. He was an actor, and then he got into Fear. That's how basically what happened. Yeah, I mean, and you could tell. You watch Fear. God, if you ever saw those guys on Saturday Night Live, they got banned from Saturday Night Live and shit. Because they knew how to do it. They knew how to be as offensive as possible and still really good. So they were undeniably good as a rock band, punk rock, whatever you want to call them. But they were so damned offensive. You know, watch Decline of Western Civilization. You're from Frisco? Oh, I knew you were from Frisco. You know, Kevin Hellon, Bakersfield was the original dystopian landscape. Yes, agreed. New Wave Theater is in DVD release through Rhino Records. A horror rock show would be excellent. I think we're going to do that, Kevin. And I'll just put this out there right now to the people watching. If anybody wants to be on the show, by all means, just let me know. And I'll, come on the show, be a guest host, and we can talk about all kinds of hilarious bullshit that happened back in the day, and great sci-fi horror rock that kind of made it into movies, or maybe even didn't make it into films, but there was a ton that enjoyed the album to movie crossover, if only for like a song, a theme song or whatever. There was a lot, folks. Steve Harrison, Billy Idol's Dancing with Myself was a cool video. Yeah, he look, Generation X, folks. And once again, just to set the record straight, right? Generation X was Billy Idol's first group in the late 70s. Billy Idol was born in 1958. Generation X is part of the late 50s and on. Don't let people tell you that Generation X is late 60s. That's a bunch of bullshit. Because when I grew up, it was Generation X, 1977, Billy Idol. That was the name of the group, and that was our generation. And I'm sticking to it. Fuck this baby boomers bullshit. That was a bunch of crap. We are the original Gen Xers. That's all there is to it right there. Lee Ving was in a great movie where he's chasing two guys in a car through the desert. Matthew Broderick, maybe from the 80s. He got into a lot of films, folks. Those punk rock names deserve a show. Cheetah Chrome Motherfuckers. Cheetah Chrome Motherfuckers was a group. I am sure, I'm assuming that's what you were talking about here, Steve Harrison. But there were another one that was weird. Yeah. God, there was another one that was pretty fucking weird. That was really good. They weren't punk. They were strange. It was like almost like the Sonic landscapes, but really warped. Chrome. Remember that? It was just, they were just called Chrome. That was the name. Really, really interesting, really cool group. Kevin says Bauhaus with Bela Lugosi's dead. Bauhaus being the original goth band. Yeah, and that was, of course, the intro to the film with David Bowie, Catherine Deneuve, and the chick that was the lead singer, oh my God, to Bongwater. I was in love with that woman. Lead singer of Bongwater, and now I can't even remember her name. But that was the lead song in The Hunger, the film, the vampire film, you know, and it's brilliant. It is so fucking good. I love that. It's a great film too. I don't know if Jimi Hendrix was being serious. He paid Chicago's guitarist Terry Kath an ultimate what? An ultimate what? Compliment? Look, yeah, Chicago guitarist, yeah, Terry Kath. He was the guy that killed himself playing Russian roulette. He was one of the great guitarists playing at the time, and then he just killed himself. Cheetah Chrome's the Dead Boys. I Want to Be a Dead Boy. Yeah, there was also the Cheetah Chrome Motherfuckers, another punk group of the time. The Hunger. Yep. Thank you, Ann Magnuson. Yeah, I loved her. You know, I wanted her to bear my children. She was just like the funniest. If you guys don't know who Bongwater is, look up The Power of Pussy. That was their first album. She is the lead singer. She's the one. I mean, it was her and the guy. They were really the two. But The Power of Pussy is one of the greatest, funniest, saddest, most tragic albums I've ever heard in my life. And musically, it is fantastic. It is a piece of art. Check out The Power of Pussy. Ann Magnuson just had such a great voice. So hilarious, too, when you listen to it. My God. It'll actually make you feel good. That's what I'm saying, folks. It's actually uplifting. It is uplifting. Michael Taylor, I don't know if Jimi Hendrix was being serious. He paid Terry Kath, Chicago guitarist, an ultimate compliment. He said Kath was a better guitarist. Yeah, he was serious. Technically, he was better than Hendrix, definitely. No doubt about it. But he just wasn't. Hendrix had the oomph, man. He had the thing, which, you know, something that you just can't get. You can't learn. Steve Belushi hung with the Dead Boys. Yeah, he did. He did. The Dead Boys. There's a documentary on the Dead Boys, Steve Harrison. I have not seen it yet, but I saw it and I read an article about it. It sounds pretty interesting. I'm sure Belushi is in it. Michael Taylor, I don't know how true that story is, but I heard that story. I would believe it. I would totally believe it. Terry Kath was an insanely good guitarist. Wayne County and the Electric Chairs. Yes. Lena Lovitch. Yes, yes, yes. Are you kidding, man? Oh, my God. Nina Hagen. You guys ever... Good. Yeah, look up Lena Lovitch and look up Nina Hagen. Holy shit. What a voice. Nina Hagen had just an astounding voice. Really. Well, that was an amazing digression from the movies, folks, but it was quite good. And we're going to very soon, we're going to do I don't know what you want to call it, a rock and roll horror show. It's going to happen. It is going to happen. Wendy O. Williams, the Plasmatics. Did you guys ever? I'm going to see if I can find that. Hold on. Hold on, folks. You got to see this. You got to see it. Maybe they've got it. Maybe they don't. I think they do, though. On SCTV. Hold on. Was that part 1 of 2? Hold on. Okay, that's not it. Hold on, folks. Give me a second. I'm trying to find the. Okay. I think this has got the entire thing. It does. It does. Okay. Yeah, holy fuck. All right. Let me get this in there. You guys have to see this. It's so damn funny. Fuck. There we go.
From all over the world, musicians come to Gil Fisher's Scuttlebutt Lodge to be on the Fisher Musician.
Well, good evening to you. I'm Gil Fisher, and welcome to the Gil Fisher Show. We got a great show for you tonight. Wendy O. Williams and the Plasmatics are with us. And we went on a hunting trip right in the Mellonville Forest, and what a great hunting trip it was. But not exactly the kind of hunting trip you'd expect. And I'll tell you more on that right after this important message. Right, Tag? This is my new dog, Tag.
Hi.
Okay, now notice his dog is black, folks. Okay. Okay. All right. Let us move on.
You don't know me, but last year I made over $1 million from a single idea. What was my idea? Well, frankly, it's not for sale. You see, my idea worked for me, but it may not work for you. But how can you come up with an idea that will allow you to make money and provide you with an opportunity to appear on television and not tell others about your idea, but encourage inventive people like you and me without giving it all away? Sound simple? Well, it should. Because by the time this commercial is over, you'll be in a position to think of a big money-making idea like I did. Wouldn't it be nice to own a mansion, drive a Cadillac, or be your own boss? Well, just send $10 to Box 1980. Don't delay. Do it today. Come on, move.
Welcome back, and as you can see, I'm joined here by Wendy O. Williams and the Plasmatics. Welcome to the Scuttlebutt Lodge. Woo!
Our pleasure, Gil. After coming off of a grueling world tour, there's nothing we'd rather do than go hunting with Gil Fisher.
Oh, thank you kindly, Wendy. You know, and we love having the shock rockers on the show and the heavy metalists and what have you. And, you know, just to spend a couple days in the great Mellonville Forest area there, and whether you're hunting or fishing, just enjoying the great outdoors and some good rock music, I think that's what it's all about, isn't it? Even for a couple days.
Why aren't there more shows like yours, Gil, huh?
Oh, come on, Wendy, you're making me blush. Now,
So it is time.
Woo! Woo! What a great show tonight. I want to tell you, the old Scuttlebutt Lodge was really rocking tonight. My thanks to Wendy Williams and the Plasmatics. What are you doing there? Oh, come on, Wendy. Oh, and I love you too. That's all the time I got. Thanks to Wendy Williams and the Plasmatics. Woo! Ew, dang, what the hell happened to you? You turned color on me. Oh, that music was... Good night!
So his dog turns white from fright when the Plasmatics play. It is so hilarious. And of course, Wendy O. Williams is just, I don't know what you want to call it. She's incredibly hot and kind of frightening at the same time. That's the whole thing about the dynamic of Wendy O. Williams. But it was an age of comedy with SCTV that was rivaled by no one. No one came close to SCTV. They didn't give a shit. They were one of the most un-PC shows that I've ever seen in my life. More un-PC than Saturday Night Live, I think, ever was. They were just completely insane. They didn't really care. And just look at all the people that came from SCTV. It's just amazing. And many of those people, of course, went to Saturday Night Live, not to mention a lot of major films and all that shit. The Fishing Musician. There you go. Plasmatics, folks. I had to do it. I had to. And that answers the question, what about Wendy O. Williams, folks? Right there. Full disclosure, I'm gonna drop this for a second. I'll bring it back in, but full disclosure, folks, I am drinking some wine. And for people that just came in, it's because I'm celebrating getting the test copy back of my book, Splash of Horror, all about pre-code horror splash pages. And it turned out freaking awesome. Okay? They did such a great job. This is the only issue in existence right now. It is yet to go live. It's going live in the next couple of days. Friday night, I will have all of the details on it. You may want to pick a copy up. That's what I'm saying right now. It's 64 pages. I was meticulous in not only photographing and scanning all of the original stuff that I put into this book, but also the other images that I used, by permission, by the way, as far as cleaning them up and making sure that they would look top notch for this particular book. So it is Splash of Horror, all about pre-code horror splash pages. And I think you're going to dig the hell out of it. If you like horror comics, you're going to love this. You are going to love this. Okay. So I'm celebrating, folks. That's it. I'm drinking wine and I'm tooting my own damned horn. That's what's going on right now. Our men. She chainsawed a Chevy on Tom Snyder. Yes. John Candy, we love him. Gone too soon. One of the greats. Fishing Musician had some really good new wave bands. Yes, Jerry Todd was a Rick Moranis character. Yeah, he had a secret Japanese band called Top Secret. Yep. They had great stuff, man. Remember Mel's Rock Pile? Oh, it's the greatest stuff in the world. Gotta love John Candy. Brilliant comedian, yes. Very funny scene. It is so damn funny. The Fishing Musician stuff is hilarious, but the Plasmatics one, you guys have to check that entire thing out. Matter of fact, I'm dropping the link in the chat right now in case you want to see the entire episode. It's like 12 minutes long. There it is, folks, right there. That is the Plasmatics and SCTV John Candy. Fishing Musician. And it is glorious. They're so good. They're such... it's just so cool. I don't know. There's something, I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it, but comparatively speaking to celebrities or rock musicians, celebrities today, the Plasmatics were sane. And they were really good-natured and funny. And, you know, they were punk rock. Yes, of course, obviously. That goes without saying. But, man, they were on SCTV. They were kind of parodying themselves, you know, to a certain degree. You know, all in good fun. That's the most clothing I've ever seen Wendy O wear. Yes. And she had just a astounding body. Wendy O. Williams just, whoa. I mean, you would be like, watch that episode, folks. Watch the 12-minute episode on SCTV that I just dropped in the chat. Wendy O. Williams was hot. Okay, that's all there is to it. She's also in that film Reform School Girls. She's in a number of movies, but she's pretty much all natural. a couple of times in Reform School Girls. Oh yes, folks, check it out. I believe it's on Tubi. I think it's on a Tubi. SCTV did it all and kept the language clean. Yeah, they did. They didn't have to do the language thing. They were just like, it was a full blitzkrieg assault of true alternative comedy that of like on a Frank Zappa level. That's kind of the way I look at it. And you didn't have to use language to be shocking or anything like that. Billy Bob Hurrah and Big Jim McBob, they blew it up real good. Oh, that blew it up real good. Oh, yeah. They blew up celebrities. It was hilarious. Yep. Wendy died way too soon. That was a tragedy, folks. All right. Well, obviously, you've become sick of my banter and babbling. So let's get back to they hang out with the B-52s hang out with Gil, the fishing musician. Oh boy, it's so good. It's so good. In any case, let's get back to the tubas. Where the hell is it? Oh, there it is. All right, folks. Yeah, we're going back all the way to 1965. This is all new stuff on Tubi, folks. All new stuff. The Embalmer, 1965. Once again, Red Rocket Media. I don't know. I've never heard of this film. Lurking in the canals of Venice, Italy, a madman captures, kills, and embalms beautiful women, adding them to a collection in his subterranean lair. The Embalmer, 1965. God, check this one out. The Flowers of Vice. What? The Flowers of Vice, 1975. Hopeless American expatriates inhabit a small Spanish village where residents are mysteriously dying after the arrival of a religious cult. Starring Dennis Hopper. 1975, The Flowers of Vice. Anybody? No, I've never heard of it. Brand new on Tubi. Love Me Deadly, 1973. Red Rocket Media is just cleaning up, folks. Pining for a healthy relationship, a young socialite with daddy issues fights her urges, and a funeral director luring her into a necrophilic sex cult. Yes, you heard that right. Let me repeat that. Pining for a healthy relationship, a young socialite with daddy issues fights her urges, and a funeral director luring her into a necrophilic sex cult. Love Me Deadly, 1973, starring Lyle Wagner. Yes, you heard that right, folks. Lyle Wagner. Love Me Deadly. Okay, and the next year, 1974, of course, we have Swingers Massacre. Once again, it's Red Rocket Media. After a bored couple attends a swingers party, the husband sets off on a jealous killing spree, picking off anyone who tries to sleep with his wife. Holy Toledo, it's Swingers Massacre, 1974. This is all new on Tubi, folks. It is literally within the last week they have added this shit. And that's it. We get back to the 4 Frozen Hell films that I recommend to you guys. And I do recommend them heartily. But, I mean, Tubi is just kicking butt on the exploitation flicks. Still, you know? I mean, they're just doing it to it. It is absolutely fantastic. I don't know where they get these. Well, it's Red Rocket Media. Somehow, some way, Red Rocket Media has gotten a lot of these films. I would imagine a percentage of these films from Red Rocket Media are public domain. That would explain a bit, you know. But still, very impressive that Tubi is, you know, putting them on. You think, you know, I don't know. I can't say for sure. I know that most of those, for example, aren't on Netflix and will never be on Netflix. So it's, you know, it's something where Tubi has got an advantage in the sense that they don't have to care about members being offended because they have no members. Okay. It's all, you know, paid advertising. And I think that's where they win because they don't care if you're offended or not. Write a letter. They don't give a shit. You're not paying them a dime. You're watching a movie, you're seeing ads. You can stop watching it anytime you want. And that's the beauty of the Tubi model. There is no subscription fatigue. And that's the reality of it. There is such a term as subscription fatigue. It hits everybody, folks. You subscribe to a service like Shudder or Hulu or Netflix, and at some point you say, okay, well, this is bullshit. I'm not going to pay $12, $15, $20 a month for this, and you cancel your subscription, right? That's it. But with Tubi, it just keeps going and going. You know, all you have to do is watch a few commercials occasionally during a movie. Who gives a shit? You know, there's no membership. It's the greatest thing as far as I'm concerned. It is the best deal in town. And as far as selection goes, who's better? Simply put, who's better? You know? I think the answer to that would be no one. No one is better, folks. My good friends, my dear fiends out there in this frozen hell, okay, that we call a world right now. What's the temps? How's it going there, folks? How are the temperatures? I'll tell you what mine is. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. And I'm going to right now. Yahoo weather. I do not want to use Yahoo. I hate Yahoo, but I guess I'm going to have to use it. Oh, come on. What? Good Lord. Oh, okay. All right. Well, it's 35 degrees. It says right now I'm in North Florida, so it's 35 degrees, folks. It's not quite freezing yet. It's going to hit 20 tonight. So it's cold. It's not that extreme, though. How's it going where you guys are at? Have you seen any recent weather reports? Give me some 411, my good fiends out there. Let's see what we got. Steve says, and Balmer had a sequel called Lip Balmer. Oh, yeah, I think that does warrant a rim shot. Steve Harrison. Lyle Wagner, the Almost Batman 66. Steve, yes, I saw that Batman audition on YouTube. Yes, Wagner auditioned with Adam West. Minus 14 Celsius here in Ottawa. What? Yeah, that's more than chilly, Harrison. That's fucking okay. You could just go into deep freeze for like 30 years or something with that. Bobby Moses is with us. Hello, Bobby Moses. Good to see you, my good man. Welcome to the show. 28 degrees in Pensacola. Okay, I'm kind of on the same line with you. I'm in northern Florida. We're at 35 degrees now. That's coming my way. That's basically what's happening right there. From what they're predicting, it's supposed to hit 20 degrees like around 4 a.m. tonight here, which is freaking cold as a bloody hell as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's like, well, you're dead, basically. If you stand out in 20-degree weather for an hour, you're dead. However, Steve Harrison has just said it's minus 14 Celsius. Okay, Steve Harrison, isn't that like minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit? Are you sure about that number? I'm gonna have to look that up, Steve Harrison, because that's astounding. Okay, it says 7 degrees Fahrenheit, which is cold as hell. But it's not quite, I mean, it is cold. Is it? Well, once again, 7 degrees Fahrenheit, you will die if you're outside for any extended period of time. That's what I'm saying right there. 28 in Pensacola. FST George says 26 here in southern New England. Just nasty with snow and ice. Damn. Yes, that is woo. Okay, in Alberta. Okay, but you said minus 14 Celsius in Ottawa. Ottawa ain't Alberta. I do know that. Alberta is like, that's getting closer to 30 days of night. It's getting up there. Oh, God. I haven't been outside for many hours. It's 24 degrees right now here in New York City. There you go, folks. 24 degrees, well below freezing. So that gives you an idea. Now, strangely enough, and I would, believe that 28 degrees in Pensacola, Florida. Hell, I'm in, mid-Florida. I am closer to Jacksonville or Lake City, Bobby Moses. Let's say Lake City. And it's 35 degrees here. But it's what you have right now is coming my way. No doubt about it. See if there's, when you incorporate wind chill, it gets real ugly. It can bring, oh, sure. Yeah, you can get down another 10 degrees. Ain't no doubt about that, folks. That is just astounding. Anybody else with any temperature, any weather conditions out there? To report, we're trying to get into like a frozen hell kind of situation here where We're trying to find out what's going on where everybody is at. So if you have any 411 on your weather situation, where you're at, please chime in, because this is what the show is. This is the Frozen Hell show. You know, that's basically it. That's what we're talking about right now, folks. The Frozen Hell show. But once again, let me show you my book, Splash of Horror, folks. Check that cover out. I mean, Jesus Christ. The skull is zapping the guy who's already being hung. Then the poor chick down there is being menaced by an alien, losing her clothes bit by bit. That is the freaking cover of my book, Splash of Horror. And this is the only copy that exists right now, but it will be for sale in a couple of days maximum. Definitely by Friday. I am having another live show Friday night, folks. You're not going to want to miss it. It is going to be one hell of a show. I will mention this again once it goes live, obviously, you know. But you're going to dig it. Look, I love pre-code horror comics. People that have just tuned in for the first time, on my channel, on this channel, the channel that you're watching right now, watch my film, my documentary, Haunted Thrills, all about pre-code horror comics. You will know where I'm coming from. I am a complete nut as far as pre-code horror goes. It's not the only thing. I mean, I you know, there's other comic books that I like, but the pre-code era, especially from 1948 to 1954, that 6-year period, 7-year period, short period, was magic for comic books, for artists. It was just amazing, you know, before the Comics Code Authority came in and just screwed everything up royally. Okay, wait a second. Oh, shit. Okay, we got a few more people. 26 in southern New England. Okay, we got that right. 24 degrees in New York City. Oh, wait a second. Kevin says, it's been single digits here in Denver the last couple of days. A balmy 24. Yeah, that's okay. That's a little more than balmy. That's more like embalmy. Okay, Kevin, you could easily get embalmed at 24 degrees and frozen like a freaking popsicle. That's what I'm saying. I need that book. So cool. FST George, thank you, sir. I don't know if you saw, I showed some of the interiors. The cover just turned out beautifully. It is pre-code. Check this out. The way that these guys, I worked a lot on these images to get them ready for print, but the printers just did a fantastic job with the reproductions. The black and white stuff, God, it's beautiful, folks. It is simply beautiful. I am so pleased with this book. And as I said before, this is volume 1. Okay. There will be at least a volume 2. Maybe more. Maybe more. Maybe this will become a quarterly. And it won't have to do always completely with splash pages, but definitely with sci-fi and horror comics. So we'll see how things progress, okay, from here. But Friday night, please, everybody that's, you know, especially everybody that's interested in getting a copy of this, I would appreciate it if you guys show up Friday night. I'll also be doing a video on it, obviously a separate video, once it goes officially live. but it's just a subject that I truly love. I mean, it's like, Craig Yo and Haunted Horror. That guy loves the stuff. You can tell when you read those issues of Haunted Horror. And I'm the same way. I'm just a complete pre-code horror comic book nut. There's no doubt about it. Steve Harrison says The Thing, The Shining, The Abominable Snowman. Great triple bill recommendations from the Great White North. Yes. That would be that's quite a triple bill right there. I totally agree. As a matter of fact, at one point, Tubi had The Thing from Another World, John Carpenter's The Thing, and then the 2011 Thing, which was the prequel to those stories, right? They had them all. All three of them were on Tubi at the same time. Now, that's a nice triple bill. I know a lot of people have problems with the 2011 prequel. I liked it. I thought that by and large, it was a decent. How would you say that? Like a decent imagining of what would have happened before. Some things obviously should have been done differently, but it was a prequel to the Carpenter film, so there you go. But there were some really great things in it. I really, really liked it a lot. Jonathan Nadeau is here. Hello, Jonathan. How are you doing? Forget global warming, but could we at least get some local warming? Yeah. I totally agree with you, my good man. And good to see you on the show. Glad to see you in the chat, my good man. Yeah, local warming would help. Michael Taylor, Ditko's brother and nephew, was being interviewed on YouTube. Highly recommend some very interesting info on Ditko. Yes. Ditko is another guy, and he's going to be covered, folks. There's no doubt about that. He's going to be in volume 2 of Splash of Horror. It's Steve Ditko, for Christ's sake. That is the ultimate winter triple bill, Steve. Yes. Good Lord. Now, somebody had mentioned, let me check something real quick, folks. What was that? Oh, yeah, the Abomination. Was that it? Abomination movie? Abominable. There it is. Abominable. Did you guys ever see Abominable? Hold on. Highly recommended. Once again, it's perfect for this weather. You guys got it. It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Hold on. Trailer. And it is a good freaking movie. Here we go. The trailer. I'm going to show it to you right now. Now, this, I believe, was I think this was a Sci-Fi Channel film. There we go. All right.
is something out there.
It's coming.
Folks, the film is on YouTube. Okay, you can check it out. Just look up Abominable full movie or the movie, and you can watch it. Highly recommended. The Yeti, Bigfoot, Sasquatch creature is great. It is really brutal. It's kind of like, just go with me on this, okay? It's kind of like Hitchcock's Rear Window with a Sasquatch, because the main character is a paraplegic. He's wheelchair bound, and he's at this resort. He's staying in a cabin, snowed in, the whole thing. And these other people come in. There's a lot of girls that come in. They're staying at the next cabin over, and this creature starts attacking them. And this guy he's wheelchair bound, and he's got he's seeing all this stuff unfold, and it's pretty damn brutal. It's really good. I mean, it's very well done. I think it's very well written. It's well acted. The lead character is really good in this film. Highly recommended. It's on YouTube. I'm going to drop the link in the channel, in the chat right now. Oops. Oh, there, yeah. It's the whole movie, right? Okay, there's that one. Yeah, Lance Henriksen is in it. Yeah, this is it. Check this out. There it is, folks. That is the link. I just dropped it in. Watch Abominable. If you want a good, like, snowed in, trapped in the extreme temperature type of deal, this guy, it's once again, he's a paraplegic. He's stuck in a wheelchair, and he's seeing this creature attacking other people. He can't do much about it. And it struck me when I was watching the film as being much like this weird version of Hitchcock's Rear Window, but with a Sasquatch. I mean, look, it's not a comedy. Matter of fact, it's pretty hardcore. I mean, this creature really does a number on people. It's kind of brutal. It's kind of a brutal film, but it's really good. As a matter of fact, I plan on watching it very soon. I may watch it tomorrow. It was one of those, look, you know how sci-fi films are, asylum movies and stuff. They're very hit and miss. And typically they're kind of miss. But if once in a while they put out a really good film. And this is one of them. Abominable. Highly recommended. Link is in the chat. You're going to love me for it. Okay. Let's see where we're at here. Steve says there was a good one about a mutated polar bear on Tubi. Yeah, it's okay. Steve, you came in late. I just covered it. It's called Unnatural with James Remar, and it is good. Highly recommended. Once again, folks, I showed the trailer. It's on Tubi. It's good. It's I don't know what to say. Some people don't like it. I don't know what to say about that because it's well done. It's really interesting. It's got a great creature, practical effects, very little, if any, CGI. You know, all of the things that I like. It is interesting. There's the link right there. Abominable, folks. You're gonna dig it. You shall dig it. Of course, 30 Days of Night is a chiller, pardon the pun. Yes, covered that one as well. That was in there. Yeah, I kind of see what you mean about the rear window comparison. Yeah, he's there, Michael Taylor, and he's got his binoculars, and he's like looking around, and of course, occasionally he sees the girls, like, you know, whatever. He doesn't mean to be like a voyeur, but he's watching around with his binoculars, and then he starts seeing this creature like in the trees, like, you know, he'll see his eyes, like, you know, or something like that, or he'll see him moving through the trees, and he's trying to warn people, you know, but he can't do much. He can't do much to defend himself. And it's really good. It's a good film. It's well done. Abominable. Highly recommended, folks. And it's a good weather. It's a good, you know, shut-in frozen hell weather film. That's what I like about it right there. Steve says, what these winter movies need is a child in a sleeping bag being hurled into a tree. You know, I'm going to have to say yes. I think they also need campers that are enticing Jason.
Hey, you want a beer? Or do you want to smoke some pot? Or we can have premarital sex. We love premarital sex.
She's done with the campers.
I love it. I love it. I swear to God, man. Let's take a look. What else we got? That just makes everything right. Yes. Oh, the sleeping sack potato race. Yes, indeed. I love it. Folks, we've gone for over 2.5 hours now. Let me get rid of this. Thank you all for sticking with me here, you know, as I go off on tangents and rants and all kinds of crap. But I am seriously celebrating the fact that I've got my freaking book out officially. Well, it's in existence. It's not out officially. Splash of Horror right here, folks. It will be soon. Friday night. Please tune in if you will. We're going to have a great show on Friday night. More Tubi stuff, more great, insane films. I've already got them lined up. Tubi has been adding films like, I don't know what's going on. It's the new year. Maybe they just get hundreds of new films. They're getting literally dozens of new 70s and 80s in particular exploitation films. A ton of stuff. It's amazing. You know, they just continue to surprise me with their selection of films. Tubi is just the best. Highly recommended, folks. Tubi or not to be? That is the question. And I think it is to be, because it's to be. If that made any sense. Great book, Mike. It's going to be a hit. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. This was a fun show, Mike. Thank you, Michael Taylor. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Thank you all for being here. And I'm going to take you out. I'm going to take you guys out on a particular favorite of mine. It's a great it's a really great trailer, and it definitely fits the theme of tonight's show, Frozen Hell. And a couple of people, I think maybe Steve was asking about this, but here it goes, folks. And once again, you guys have a great night, and I'll see you guys Friday night. Okay, just a few days away from the Horror Mike Show on Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Take care, you guys.
Rose straight out of the ground, standing 20 feet high, with fangs and claws sharper than any man-made metal.
Let me know when old man-eater shows up, okay? I'll take a snapshot of him with the girls.
Something's not right.
What about you? Where did you come from?
Clobirch Industries. A company that sticks its nose where it shouldn't.
The beta cells are rapidly increasing. They're 600% larger than they were last week.
They're growing these goddamn things.
Well, we're in a lot of danger, and its strength is far superior to that of an average polar bear.
That hunted these wood.